there, and welcome back to Sound Alchemy Podcast, the place where we talk about the grim darkness of the current state of affairs when it comes to the music industry. And today we're going to be having a conversation regarding the way that music has been produced today.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, right?
That not to be said that you can recall today's topic.
Totally not.
Look, we're gonna be. Hello, girls and boys. How's it going? Very glad to be back. It's great to have you here as well.
Stunning and brave.
Stunning and brave from time to time. Beautiful, as it is said. So, actually, today's conversation is gonna be about something beneath the music or at the core of music, the concept.
Yes.
So, and how having a concept or not having a concept, being a driving force behind the making of music, can lead to music that is empty and goes nowhere and is bad for your soul.
Yes, and actually bad for your soul is a good way to describe it, because the origin of this conversation began on the Discord, actually, because one of you guys, Basket Rai, has been sharing with us some crazy ass songs that have no ownership whatsoever. And that sparked a conversation here at the studio and later on the Discord regarding how music is starting to lose importance or the conceptual element to it.
Yeah.
And some of the tracks that Basket Rai shared with us, and another reason why you should join the Discord, and also shout out to him because he's been quite active at that. He has shared several tracks that are quite impressive when it comes to the quality and the fact that they are unknown.
Yeah.
Because it's not just songs that are not known by someone. Nobody knows who produced them, who created them. And well, so speaking of the man himself, here he is.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Hey.
So, yeah, insane. And those tracks actually had plenty. Even him shared some of the stories behind those track histories. Some of them were more about the way that they were discovered or how they were shared, and some even actually have some of the details regarding some of the potential leads that would take you to the guys who produced the track.
Yeah.
But no more than that. But
the whole rabbit hole.
yeah, there was one, and it's one that I will share with you on the community tab. From a particular recording that he shared from a Canadian band, allegedly Canadian band.
Yeah.
That's as far as we can know.
Yeah. Assumed Canadian.
That allegedly seems to be about a serial. What word can I use on YouTube that doesn't get us in trouble?
I think we all know what kind of cereal.
Yes, that kind of cereal.
About.
Yes, like
Yeah.
Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and how deep the lyrics actually went. So, if that happened before, would you say that it's happening today?
What exactly are you referring to?
The way music has been produced with an actual concept, fully fleshed out, that in the case of this song, we don't know the story behind it, but the track is so well produced that even though we're doing with a low resolution file, because it's not the most pristine sounding file you ever heard, but it still retains the emotion.
Yeah, because that goes way beyond the quality of production. It goes way beyond the...
It's the composition, man.
Yeah, and there's intent.
Yeah.
And I think that, once again, it goes at the very core of what makes music.
Yes.
It's having something to say. And some people will be able to say it better. Some people will be able to say it worse, like my English right now.
Totally.
Yeah. But if you have something to say and it is meaningful to you and it has the potential to be meaningful to other people, that has the power to make great music.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. And so let's dive into this. First, how would you describe something? How would you describe music that is meaningful, not only at a sonic level, because this is more on the metaphysical aspect of music. It's the intellectual aspect.
Yes.
Because again, it could be about a car, okay, but the car represents a feeling.
Yeah.
An emotion, right?
Yeah. And you have a specific song
I
in your
know
head.
which one. A totally not based on named after a country in the middle of America.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that song, as dumb as
We're talking about Panama.
Panama by Van Halen,
Yeah.
if a song such as that one, which on paper looks like a very dumb idea, it's able to make you feel excitement, danger. That shows that it's possible to do it with any topic.
And even you already made a very important distinction there, because the concept behind the song is very simplistic.
It is.
It's a car. but the emotions portrayed through the song can actually become quite complex.
Agreed. And Basket Trace here is asking if it's Monster of Love. Yes, it's the song that you shared on the Discord, if I recall correctly. Yeah, actually, it would be nice if you can share some of the details here. And by the way, he's a total connoisseur of this. I'm totally blown away by the amount of expertise that he has on the subject matter. Yeah, he knows quite a lot about those unknown songs.
Yeah, that has been very, very interesting because, being very honest, it's kind of outside of my area of expertise. So it's been very enriching.
Yeah. But see how I would like to see if he can share some of the information regarding the track, because he will be much more articulate to express or to share with the audience the concepts behind the track, or as much as he can due to the lack of information. But you'll see once you listen to the track how close to what he describes the sound actually of the music is. And that's what we're trying to discuss here. So if it's possible by Van Halen to provoke those kind of emotions on the audience by talking about a car, what do you think makes it possible?
Look, I feel that we can wrongly assume that because a song is about something minimalistic or something simplistic.
Menial, it's a simplistic.
Let's say minimal. Let's say menial. It's gonna be a poor song. Wrong, because I think that's not the determining factor. I think it's about expressivity.
Yes.
Because music is about expressing ideas or emotions. If there is a relatable, meaningful idea or emotion being expressed, the song holds value. So, and that can be done, as proven by Van Halen, even when talking about something menial, but it's about how you explore the topic at hand.
In this case, it's not just the lyrics, because the lyrics could be very simplistic. I'm going to use that word.
Yeah.
But they are simplistic by design, because the lyrics themselves are setting the stage. The music is the one that actually evokes the emotion, and that's what makes the song feel more impactful and actually timeless. Because you don't even need to know how to drive a car to feel the excitement that comes from the track.
Like watching an action movie.
Exactly. You don't have to know how to use pew-pews.
Exactly.
You have to be like, John Wick's cool. Bastard right here saying, there is not really let me get this closer. It's kind of difficult, so I gotta be close to the microphone. He's saying there is not really known about the track, much known about the track. Charles B recorded it off CF New York, I assume, in the early 90s. That's about it. I've been searching online since 2008. Well, it shows, man. It shows. And
let's get the word out through these channels as well, because let's see if someone else can clarify some.
The
history.
And actually, Basket, I was thinking it would be awesome to have you in one of the live streams at one point for you to share with the world all of the knowledge that you have acquired in the last almost 20 years of research.
And being an active part of the conversation will be cool.
Because that would be a very interesting, more about and that would be for the other show, the music that doesn't suck. That's actually much more appropriate. But I will share the link to that song on the community tab, so you can actually see this in action, because I think it's going to be a very didactic experience. So in this case of this song, the music itself is the one that is driving the motion, because it's very fast, it's exciting, it's dangerous, but it's fun, because the whole track is like, you wanna actually not dance to it, but you start to get pumped and excited. You rock to it. And it's a very good example on how to do it without having to go super deep in the pseudo intellectual route. Because the opposite happens as well. Think of I don't know the things that if I share any of the examples, I'm gonna get crucified.
Just go for it. Go.
No. Let's pretend that I share. Let's think of a band that is kind of self-indulgent.
Exactly what in
the sense of concepts that go mathematic, and a band whose audience tends to make them bigger than they actually are. And in reality, their music becomes kind of dull and formulaic after you realize that they're playing tricks on you. If you know which band I'm talking about, leave that name in the comment section. I'm not going to tell you which band is this. But that's where the concept goes the total opposite way. It becomes way more important than the music itself, because they want to lecture you rather than make you feel an emotion.
But look, this is worth a deeper exploration. First, within the idea of a concept as a driving force for a song, because first distinction that's important to make is something that's very widely regarded as such.
Yes.
Is concept is about lyrics.
Yes.
And that's far from the case. Lyrics may be a part of what tackles the concept, but a song with no lyrics at all, just an instrumental, can have a concept as a driving force.
Totally.
So it's not about lyrics. Lyrics may be an enhancer when it comes to that particular thing.
It could, because sometimes it could be the total opposite. It could harm the composition.
It can. But then once again, coming back to the core of it, a concept. The thing about that band that you're talking about, that we're not gonna
hypothetically
speaking, we're not gonna name it. I don't think they have a concept on those particular instances that you're mentioning where it fails. It kind of falls short.
Yes.
I don't think the concept or that particular intellectual starting point is the driving point for the making of the music.
Yes.
Is the music trying to adapt to a particular set of boundaries?
I can see where we're going.
That are not necessarily the driving force for the emotion that's being portrayed in the music. And I think that can clash.
So what you're saying is that this hypothetical case, the band produces music following the principles established and the rules established by the concept, rather than writing music that evokes a concept or inspires a certain concept for it to evolve alongside the music.
It feels to me like that. What do you think about it?
If we're talking about this totally not existing band, yes, I agree. Because it's quite clear in most of their compositions. Of course, we're talking about a hypothetical case. But if a band such as this one were to exist, I could see that their only driving force or the way to keep themselves popular would be by developing a rabid fan base that would instantly astroturf everything they do just by the sheer might of the popularity that they acquired, let's say, during the late 90s, by the fact that they had no competition and they actually were promoted quite heavily, totally. But whatever.
But look, their success is gonna be hard to keep going with this conversation.
No, I'm gonna try to avoid digging on this one. So, because we don't have the tools for a job.
No. But look, I think, and hypothetically speaking, a band that goes under these premises.
Yes.
Okay, that writes the music under a concept rather than the music representing a concept. They need to find a fan base that's gonna feel intellectual about the concept that the music is supposed to portray, but doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's more about the marketing of selling the idea of being intellectual rather than actually being intellectual.
Agreed. And that's probably one of the worst ways to kill music.
Yeah.
When you try to make it way more than it actually is. Because let's use a different example in this case.
Yeah.
I'm going to use Pink Floyd.
Something that we can name for a change.
Pink Floyd, let's use, Animals. Probably the most, because they actually did both, the great and the bad. I will elaborate on that one, but keep in. Just follow me. Look, Pink Floyd releases Animals. Animals is based on the book by George Orwell, Animal Farm, which divides society into three different groups. One of them is the ruling classes, which is divided by the merchant class, which is the pigs, and the armed forces, which is depicted by being the dogs.
The dogs, yes.
The rest of the masses, the workers, regular people, would be represented by sheep. And the album is basically following that dynamic. Is developing the whole dynamic of the interaction between the three groups and how that society crashes by the weight of its own magnitude through a musical medium. Tell me if it's not one of the most most pretentious things you ever heard in your life. And somehow they succeed at it.
Yeah.
They do it incredibly well.
The album sounds like those concepts. Yeah.
But why? From being a Pink Floyd fanboy, when they were touring for promoting the previous record, which was "Wish You Were Here," if I recall correctly. They were already playing what would end up becoming Dogs as part of the live shows. And even at that point, if I recall correctly, it was called "You Got to Be Crazy," because it's the most recurring theme, lyrically speaking, throughout the track.
Yeah.
That makes me think that they actually produced the track first, and then wait a second, this kind of reminds me, lyrically speaking, of this. How about that was a eureka moment, and bam, they actually got it. That's probably the reason why that album is so well crafted. It's probably their most expensive album because it's 3 songs, one for each of the animals, with whatever Pigs on the Wing is. Because that thing is not even a song, it's a minute or so of Royal Water trying to sing and play acoustic guitar at the same time, and no more than that.
But it works within the album.
It does, somehow, because it's kind of a love song. It is.
Yeah, but even this song basically repeats in the beginning and the ending of the album.
But lyrically speaking, it changes.
It changes, but it's there.
And that's where the concept shines.
Yeah.
Like a crazy diamond. But then, the follow-up to that one, an even higher concept. The Wall, probably their most known record besides Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, the most ambitious of them all.
Ambitious as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's the one that fails the worst because of how big of its scope is. They try to chew more than to bite. They try to bite more than they could chew.
Look, I have quite a lot of respect for The Wall, even though to some degree I agree with the whole thing about biting more than you can chew. I think The Wall, coming back to the core of this conversation, the whole thing about having a concept. The Wall is a very personal narrative. It's Roger. The Wall is Roger.
Yeah.
Roger Waters. And the way that he conveys the music conveys his ideas throughout the album is a very powerful insight into him. And I think it does that. It actually does that.
Yeah, but you gotta give him the benefit of the doubt, and you truly gotta invest yourself into the album. The music is not necessarily speaking doing the sales pitch. You gotta actually buy it first and deal with it. Buy your own as a buyer, because the music itself is very demanding. And even though you might say, but dude, some of the most renowned tracks by Pink Floyd comes from that album. Yes, man. But at the same time, there are soundscapes in between tracks that goes nowhere without the visuals from the movie.
Yeah.
So they released a movie, they produced an album that happened to be the entirety of the movie, with even including dialogues.
Yeah.
Because the movie has no dialogues other than the sound bites that are part of the tracks, which are so weird if you listen to the album before or as a standalone. That's way too much ambition, and that's the reason why, in my opinion, is probably the worst offender when it comes to taking the concept way too far. I give them the kudos that they deserve for the balls. And having the balls to do this insanity. Yeah. But let's call a spade a spade. Musical speaking is fantastic. Yeah. But it has plenty of those intellectualisms. Yeah. That kind of ruin the experience from a musical perspective.
Well, look, if you look from a certain perspective, see that the narrative is about Roger, and even to some degree his descent into near insanity.
Yeah.
And egomania, which is represented by the concept of the album itself.
Yeah.
So, from a narrative, conceptual perspective, even the fact that the album is too ambitious makes sense.
Yes, from an artistic perspective, and see how much I defend the album from what it is, what it stands for, because, well, I cannot deny that it's a great concept and it's a greatly, for the vast majority of time, executed idea. The thing is that they went too overboard with the concept. That's what I'm attacking. Yeah. Because now we live in the total opposite situation. Yeah. Now concept is gone. Because think of whatever is popular right now. I cannot name any names because I can't even define which is which. Yeah. Everything is so cookie cutter, generic. I think there was this guy, whatever, Machine Gun Kelly, something like that, released a track. It sounds like Backstreet Boys.
For real?
Yeah, it's doing the rounds on X because people are making fun of him looking like a soy boy. No, for real.
Yeah.
But the track is very boring, very formulaic, goes nowhere, and you see that the concept is gone. No concept at all.
Yeah.
It's just there is the quintessential product.
Yeah.
And
But look, bringing the product, because I also had something with product in mind now.
No.
But music has always been a product.
Yeah.
Because music was always meant to be sold.
Yes.
So it is a product by definition. But something very important changed when it comes to that, which is a big distinction between how music was and how music is, and can be another portion of this conversation.
Sure.
Music was made out of artistry, let's say 70s, 80s. You had something to say, you said it. Once you said it, you would find the people that wanted to buy that.
Agreed.
Okay? Nowadays, with the whole state of marketing mostly, you don't have people saying things and then looking for people that want to hear. You have, okay, we have all of these people, let's give them what they want to hear. And now, and I think that's where it comes in, the whole idea of music being productized. Because it's not because it wasn't a product before, but now is from its very inception is made under the premises of being something that particular group of people is want to buy, and not because you wanted to say something and now you found who want to hear it.
I get
Does
you.
it make sense?
I get you. It kind of sounds like social engineering, man.
Oh wow.
Because, but I can see where you're going, because now you're creating a product, you're creating a situation for the product to be successful, rather than the other way around. You're creating a product that in a response to a certain situation.
Yeah.
Good point. I never stopped to think about that, but it makes sense, because that could be one of the many reasons why modern music sucks so much.
Yeah.
Because it feels that it's created in a lab.
Not that it feels, it is.
Yeah, well, I was about to make unlike certain things that comes from China. No, it actually feels mass-produced and devised by a group of people rather than a musician or an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Because they feel devoid of this inspirational layer that is the... And look, it doesn't have to be about a high concept again. It could be about a car again. But the emotion and the way that they managed, using Van Halen once again as a reference, the fact that they could condense the emotion, the thrill of speed, the fun that comes from owning a car,
And going fast
on it, in a musical way, is what makes it transcendental.
Yeah.
And it's something that is no longer seen that often. Of course, there are new people, there are new artists, there are some of those underground, the good obscure shit that we always talk about. Yeah, that you will be able to find it there, or even with Buster, all of the crazy stuff that he's finding.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. The issue is that the mainstream is devoid of it, and that's actually the one that dictates the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
The way that the world goes.
And that's why everything sucks.
Yeah. Now the question is, where or how could we, as musicians, and music enthusiasts, because that also, it's partially speaking, the responsibility also lies on those who are purchasing the music,
The listeners,
the listeners. I would even dare to say that more than on the creation side of things.
Agree.
Because the creators will try to appeal to the taste of the masses, to the audience. If the audience is not willing to support or invest their hard-earned money on those who are promoting or creating or creating new ideas, or good ideas, because new is not necessarily better.
Yeah.
It's just new. Why would a creator spend time, effort, and blood and sweat, and mostly tears, on creating something of actual meaning?
That's a good question. There is an answer for it.
Wait. There is an earlier to it, because you can also make the claim. But dude, one of the things that inspires me to look for greatness is looking at the works of greatness from decades past. I don't know, like walking down the streets and stumbling across a fantastically beautiful Gothic cathedral. That truly inspires you.
Yeah.
As a human being, you don't have to be an artist.
Yeah, it brings you that sense of awe.
Yeah. Because you see this kind of... You can't believe that a human being is capable of producing something like this, because it kind of gives you a little bit of glimpses of divinity. Without trying to go down the rabbit hole of religion and stuff, you know what I mean. This is this transcendental, larger than life aspect that transcends the human condition.
Yeah,
It's the kind of stuff that makes art, and in this case music, so important and meaningful, because it is through those moments, those epic displays of prowess, that we get inspired to become something better and bigger and more important than what we are. Because in a way it shows you that all we are is a fart in the wind.
to end so poetically. No, but look, I think this that you're describing, it relates quite a lot, and even now showcased into how everything is very shitty nowadays.
Yeah.
It relates very much with the state of self-esteem or self-confidence that we have as species. I think when nowadays we have the tendency of thinking, for instance, of the Renaissance man, as if it was a different species than our own.
Well, in a way they were.
No, that's a new rabbit hole that we're not gonna bring into today. No, but look, we look at those men, those people that accomplished things that were remarkable.
Yes.
And it feels that they are completely detached to any one of us.
But why?
But that's the thing. We lost quite a lot of self-esteem as a species. We don't think of humanity as the race and as the species that accomplished everything that we see around us, which is remarkable.
It is.
But you feel like that's other people's affairs, not our own.
Yeah, I can see where we're going with this, because it gives impression that people think that it was possible by them, not by me.
And that's why, of course, the creation of the time reflects that sentiment.
Agreed.
The fact that we see mainstream music being extremely empty and inconsequential is a reflection of the state of mind of most people.
I agree.
And that's why it resonates with that people.
But it's sad but true, man. But this begs the question: who was first? Is the music being formulaic and boring the result of the audience being formulaic and boring, or the other way around? Could it be that music is turning them into that? Because think about it. I'm gonna try to avoid going down the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, because if
music
changed first, it means it was changed from the outside.
Yeah.
So external forces were acting on it.
External forces were acting on it, and the question is this: if this is, let's play by ear. Let's pretend that the music industry is there for profit.
Let's pretend.
It's there for profit. Their only objective is to make a profit. They would sell wherever people will buy, right?
Yeah.
We used to buy better music before. That makes you think, okay, the taste in music was better before, because you don't have to go that far back in time, and you can even go back to the 90s. Even the mainstream was better than what we got right now.
Yeah, by orders of magnitude.
Yes. Are you telling me that the taste in music changed dramatically?
And we're talking about a very little time frame.
Yeah, because it's the same people. You don't have early 2000s. For wherever they are, musical speaking, there was much more consistency in quality back then than what we got today. It was a little bit more diverse. You actually got rock music in the mainstream. Yeah. It was actually popular. Call it whatever you want. Mainstream rock, your Nickelbacks, your My Chemical Romance, all of those guys. Yeah.
But there was rock on the mainstream.
There was rock in the mainstream.
Yeah.
And it was not because rock's the best and my rock and roll. No. It's because, dude, turn on the radio and it's just gonna be wherever equivalent or localized version of hip hop is popular on that particular region of the world. Because having been to different places in the last 5 years, several continents.
Yeah.
You sort of see a pattern, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, how? It's just the same but different. So, could it be that the music was the one that changed the taste?
Yes.
Or could it be that the society we live in, little by little, devolved or stopped paying attention to the quality of music due to the insanely fast development of technology that took place in the last 20 years? Because think about this. This what we're doing right now was impossible 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I would call you hack. It's ridiculous. This is insane. The fact that we're able to live stream right now at this level of quality with little tools right now, it's insane. It's beyond belief. Could it be that actually was the defining factor? And the industry adapt? I'm trying to play devil's advocate. You know my position.
I think it's a very... the problem has many facets. I think one of them... Let's take for granted that no, there was no external forces with external intents.
No foul play.
No foul play. Just human nature. If you look at it from that perspective, there's still some arguments to be made. I think one of the main ones might be the state of society when it comes to comfort and ease to a decent living standard.
Good point.
I feel some of the best music we ever had came from times of unrest, from times where there was something to be fought against. Something to be...
Wait. I will have to disagree with you because the great works from the classical period, some of them, a good chunk of them, were done during moments of exuberance. Think of Mozart.
Yeah.
His world, of course, not that world. His world was relatively prosperous.
Yeah.
And he was, because the conditions, but look, the difference is that they felt the self-confidence you commented before, you mentioned before. There was a sense of pride.
Yeah.
People felt
of pursuing the pursuit of greatness. Yeah.
And you can hear that search for greatness in the music.
Yeah.
Then I don't know, pick someone different. Beethoven. Napoleon was all arranged. He actually wrote a piece for him, but it sounds glorious. It sounds like the music for the biggest conqueror after Alexander, which is.
No, but look, let me reframe. It's not necessarily because the times were tough.
Yeah.
But people were tough.
Yes.
Because there were someone who pursues greatness is someone who has to go through many tribulations, through many hardships to actually achieve greatness. Because greatness is not easily achieved.
Earning the heroic.
Yes, even if we're talking about a period in time where things were okay, if things were fine, stable, let's call it. So it's not necessarily about civil unrest or instability.
Yeah.
It's about a period of time where people are actually active in the pursuit of greatness, on overcoming challenges or overcoming their own limitations to become better.
I agree.
Okay? So, nowadays, or let's say what we lived through the early 2000s, late 90s, things were easy. I won't say that things were good, but things were easy. And I think that easiness made for a lot of people that were simply existing. They were not necessarily pursuing more. And I think if you don't have this drive yourself, you can't resonate with music that projects that drive. That's why, in the end, the good music of the world was thrown to the sidelines, defending this point, okay? There are more points to this. But this could be a reason why the good music of the world was thrown to the sidelines, simply because people couldn't resonate with it.
Yep.
Because people got lazy?
Complacent.
Complacent.
Yeah, I can see your point. They became softer.
Yeah.
And that, not necessarily speaking, means being peaceful. It's more about at a level, at a temperamental level, man. Less might, for
no fire.
No fire. Yes, actually, I would use that one, because you see that there is no longer that spark of curiosity or the willingness to cross the ocean or to discover a new piece of land.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is gone. But I think it's partially due to the insane commodities and the ease of life that everybody has access to.
Yeah.
Because even those who are in not extreme hardship, hashtag not all, but even those who you might consider to be not necessarily high class, but let's say white collar, and I say that with all the due respect, because huge kudos to people like that.
Yeah, keeps
they are
rolling.
the ones who are actually keeping this ball rolling.
Yeah.
Somebody who is earning not the biggest amount of money, the biggest salary, is already having a better life than most kings of Europe across history.
Yeah, actually.
Because it begins from the idea that they actually have access to food, at least in a fridge.
Yeah.
Back then there was no way for them to store it.
Electricity, clean
Electricity,
water.
clean water, everything.
Yeah.
So they already live a better life than a king.
Yeah.
So imagine how was the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That puts you in a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally see that being a huge indicative of why we ended up with so lame as everything. Now for real. But now, why would it be so important if music is entertaining and if music is just for entertainment's sake? That's just me playing the devil's advocate, because it clearly is more music and art in general. Is not decoration, is not background music, it's not background sound. There is a quality to great music and great art for that matter that actually inspires the listener, in the case of music, to become something bigger, to do something about his life, or at least to appreciate the beauty and the magnificence of life itself. The miracle of being alive alone is already could be presented to him. Listen to one of those classical pieces. I don't know, easy, a popular one, Vivaldi's Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Think of those. Wherever track, let's say Summer, because Winter is even more heavy metal, but Summer is the one that has the baddest section. That makes you feel elegant, intelligent, but also makes you feel the passage of time and the futility of life. You get me, right? Because you actually hear, if you listen to the whole suite, as you should, as it's meant to be, because we will have another discussion later on about the importance of albums. You'll actually be able to experience it's not about the seasons, it's about life. The beginning and the end of everything, and how it is an eternal cycle. That's sort of like through music. Wow.
But look, I have another angle to provide.
No lyrics, mind you.
Yes. How do you get to such a wow moment being active in the music listening? And how music is listened to also changed very dramatically, because the whole treating music, listening to music as an activity, something that you do, you dedicate time to, you dedicate your brain to, your mind, is something that is not as commonplace as we would like to think. And there's a very good social reason for that. And once again, pushing on the why are we here. I think that the whole passive attitude towards everything is something that is learned. Nowadays, think of schools, we learn how to be passive.
Yeah, while having lunch, we were discussing how AI is becoming a huge problem with the education system.
Nowadays, I'm pushing outside of the realm of schools. Phones, we're passive, we're just consuming mindlessly. And the TVs, you name it. Basically everything that we consume nowadays.
Because that's the word. We're no longer absorbing, it's consumed.
And it's passive.
Yes.
And the process of appreciating good music cannot be passive.
No.
Because if you have something great playing in the backdrop while you're doing nothing mindlessly, not only you won't be able to appreciate it, but it's actually gonna bother you.
100%.
Let's say you have, using the same example as you gave us, the Four Seasons, playing while you're doing something mind intense, is gonna get in the way.
Agreed.
Because it's not meant to be background noise, it's meant to be an active listen.
Yeah, actually, before going live, we were having the discussion downstairs in the drums room about how I listen to music and why it's a great tool for those of you who want to get good at music, but it's terrible if you want to keep enjoying music. Because the way that I changed the way that I engage with music. Instead of enjoying it, like being mesmerized, emotionally speaking, by the beauty of the craft and the execution of the performance and stuff, the insane quality of the production at that technical level, my brain now goes straight into the engineering behind the recording, the cleverness of the arrangement, the creative use of effects, the fantastic composition, the execution, and I even do the tempo
Mm-hmm.
every time I listen to music, because that's a way to keep yourself as a musician super sharp, but also to keep your skills as a mixing engineer or music producer always ready
Yeah.
to kick in. It's not necessarily fun because
Mm-hmm.
it actually deprives you from the excitement that comes from music.
Yeah.
For those of you who have found us through the reaction channel, that's how you that's how you can. You see me being able to separate the elements of a track
Yeah.
that easily because my brain is already dissecting the whole thing.
Yeah. By its very nature.
Yeah, so I'm not recommending it to become the way you listen to music,
Mhm.
any of you, but it's a very useful tool.
Mm-hmm.
This is an extreme example
Yeah.
on the active listener experience that you're describing.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go these bananas. If I can stop you from doing it, I will. Because there is a better way to do it
Mm-hmm.
from the actual emotional perspective.
Yeah.
Just pay attention.
Yeah.
You
Let yourself be
Let
involved
yourself
in the
be
music. Yeah.
Immersed by it.
Yeah.
Let it take you to the places that it's meant to take you.
Yeah.
You'll see that music is not just a pretty thing to listen to. It has so many layers of
Mhm.
meaning that will actually nourish your soul, not just your intellect as well.
Yeah.
But it's gonna begin with your soul, because not only is gonna make you feel things in your heart, but also it's gonna. I don't know how to describe it. There is some form of enriching factor that
Yeah.
comes from witnessing great art,
Mm-hmm.
because the same that happens with music will happen to you if you go to a proper museum or a proper gallery
Mm-hmm.
where they have actual art pieces,
Yeah.
not not a banana stuck to a wall with a piece of tape. Damn it.
That's art. You just don't get it.
Yeah, no, it's because I'm a peasant.
Yeah. You don't get it.
I'm just I'm part of the unwashed masses.
Yeah. You're not ready for it.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. But you see what I mean, man?
Yeah. Yeah. But look, I think.
Because that's what is lacking
Yeah.
today in our society. These
Mhm.
might.
And I think, well, now I always try to bring the more proactive side of the conversation whenever we have these talks, because I feel that it's kind of worthless just being complaining
Yeah.
about the state of affairs. Everybody can look outside and see that things are not perfect. But the question the $1 million question is how we fix it. I think a very good step in the right direction is treating music with the respect that it deserves.
Yes.
And I think now, talking individual scale, amplified to people in general, I think music lost the role that it used to have when it comes to how people appreciate it. The whole thing about dedicating the time to listen to album, even the whole the ritual nature of putting a CD or putting a vinyl into the
on the player.
yeah, on the player, there was something ritualistic about it.
100%.
But it's all about dedicating that moment to music.
Look, probably you can call me old-fashioned
Mm-hmm.
or a dork, or simply put, a weirdo.
I will, but why?
But because whenever I listen to music, I still do it that way, even though I'm using, for example, Apple Music.
Mm-hmm.
I usually only listen to music at the gym. First and foremost, because they are blasting exactly the antithesis to music, anathema. Not the band, the actual word. The anathema as a band is a good band. But also because I would like to take advantage of my time at the gym
Mm-hmm.
to listen to a full album, because I spent the right amount of time for an album to start and finish. It's usually no more than 80 minutes, my gym routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, the first thing I do, okay, I never use autoplay, so I go for my library. Yeah, I don't even use the search feature. I have a library, and I go to my library.
Mhm.
Okay, which one should I listen to today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, today feels like Abbott. So, yeah,
You know that's gonna be a badass gym
yes.
session.
Yeah, no. I actually I get why people listen to music at the gym and how they get pumped. That doesn't work on me. Man, I'm soulless. I'm a vampire. That's I'm devoid of emotion. Devoid of emotion. Yes, but because I find hard not to listen to the entirety of an album,
Mm-hmm.
because it feels very odd having a track out of context.
Yeah.
That means like watching a bad scene from a movie without watching the beginning and the end of the movie.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair comparison, actually.
Because yes, albums' lives matter, and they are there for a reason. We are gonna dedicate a full episode to that very concept because that's partially what killed the epicness and the importance of music in this case.
Yeah.
So you were about to say something as well because I kind of derailed.
On the thing about buying CDs, not going for the album format because that's going to be another conversation. But I think that's already a very good indicative because people have been buying CDs lately. There's a resurgence going on.
A little bit, yes. Vinyl.
Yeah, and there's a very good sign because it's not only about the whole how music is supposed to be listened to. Outside of that, there's the ritualistic aspect of it as well. And I think it means people are back to a position where they value music as something that is worth their time, is worth their money, is worth creating a moment to listen to it.
Yeah, and I also think that this whole push behind you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Now the whole thing with renting stuff, subscribing to everything, like this channel, for example, as you did.
Yeah. Or if you didn't, you should.
You should. No, but subscribing to those services, yeah, of course. I'm not gonna lose the miss. I'm not gonna miss the chance. No, but the chance for you to subscribe to I don't know, Netflix and Spotify and all of those services. That in a way trivialized the importance and the artistic nature of music by making it basically consumable, because it removed the effort aspect that came from buying and the piece, owning the piece.
Yeah.
Because when you had to pay money for something, you add the value not of the amount of money you spend on it, not the monetary value, but you add the effort that amount of money represented to you in order to acquire the piece. So watches, I like watches, and for those of you who know, watches can go bonkers money.
Yeah.
Way too expensive. And look, way too expensive. Even I, as a fan, recognize that they truly pull your legs. But there are certain pieces that are correctly priced for what they represent as a memento. I look at, let's say, a $5,000 piece. It's a lot of money, 100%. But it's something that is going to be there with you forever. And if you look at it, and that's how I look at my stuff. Here at the studio, for example, I have never sold any of my piece of gear. I still rock this. The very first pedal that I owned is still in front of me, and I am using it right now. Live tomorrow. But I'm a fireman. No, look. Why I never sell my stuff? Because they represent, and every time I look at them, it takes me back to the effort involved in getting those. The same happens with watches. I look at watches as trophy pieces for my own successes. So, and depending on the amount of money spent on the watch, will represent the amount of effort and the importance of whatever did I manage to pull off that allowed me to purchase the pricier watch.
Yeah.
So we lost that sense of belonging and ownership.
And also
that trivialized the concept of music, degraded the value.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and look, let's use the approach to watches as an example. For as counterintuitive as it may sound, the whole thing, this approach that you described to having watches, is basically the antithesis to consumerism, because actually it's about attributing actual meaning to something.
Yes.
And of course, this can be a little bit of a self-imposed trap on some regards, because maybe just an excuse that you give yourself to throw a lot of money at something.
It could be seen as such, and it could become it could turn into such.
But that's each individual's responsibility to know the reason behind what you're doing.
No,
if it's legit, the approach to it is actually something that's counter-consumerism.
Yes.
Because it's about value, it's about meaning. And that's probably one of the other reasons why valuable music is going down, because we're basically in the age of menial and empty consumerism.
Yes.
Because people don't necessarily care about the value of something. And it definitely shows in the value of music.
Agreed. So, I think the biggest and most important take from this conversation is the importance and the impact that glorious works have at an individual, but at a societal level as well.
Yeah.
Because being there and experiencing, for example, I'm going to pick one of my favorite bands, Dream Theater. I have the chance to see them several times already, and every time I go there, I got pumped and inspired by what I saw. Because being able to see somebody who is insanely trained and excels at it in a way that it's also meaningful at a emotional level, it's inspiring, man.
Yeah.
And makes me want to be able to do the same. And I'm not the only one. That's why plenty of people have that huge respect, particularly in the musician environment. They have huge respect for certain musicians. You always hear the same names in whatever circle you are, man. Because let's say drummers, you always hear Neil Peart, Mike Portnoy, Terry Bozzio, all of the big chungus, Steve Smith, all of those guys. Why? Because those guys are capable of doing this. They are so good, and they have been part of so many great records, beautiful songs that means something to people, that inspires them to do something about themselves. Because it's not only for those of you who end up turning into musicians, bad idea, but also
don't do it.
don't do it. But for those for the rest of the audience that actually gets inspired, for example, I know you listen to a badass drum solo by Mike Portnoy, like, I'm gonna finally talk to Brittany. Today's that day.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
Why? Because the song, the portrayal of prowess, the beauty of the music, and the intent behind the composition inspire you to finally do what you should.
Yeah.
And finally get the balls, grow the balls to do it. Exactly. No, too late. But it's that, man. It's that. We as musicians have that responsibility, because it's something that we discuss quite often here. We, believe it or not, we're finally working on new music. For real this time. We are truly working on new music that is coming down your way.
Soon.
Yeah, but soon, very soon. Not soon like typical Instagram musician. New record comes soon. No, this is soon. But we won't be making an announcement, proper announcement as of yet, because we're still in the pre-production phase.
Yeah.
That's something for a different conversation. Tomorrow you can ask me that in the mixing production channel, but whatever. And one of the conversations that we're having is making this record mean something.
Yeah.
We truly want to inspire people, not because the previous records didn't do it. That was the priority, and that has always been the priority in this organization. But there is always the question on how, because each musical effort is a completely different story.
Yeah.
It's a new chance to do it in a different way.
Yeah.
Or fail at it miserably. Because that's the risk as well.
Yeah.
So that's why we're having these conversations. And I think, and I hope, this is the norm for the vast majority of music produced by independent people. What do you think?
I think that the modern music makers on every form that care about good music have this responsibility to bear in mind. But also, I would like to point to the responsibility of everybody, because not only the music makers or the musicians, the listener, which is probably the most important one in this equation, because it's the one that actually dictates the flow of everything.
Yes.
I feel that, coming back to what got this conversation started, the whole thing with the concept, the driving force of music making is at the core of this inspirational aspect of music that has become the topic of this conversation.
Yes.
But they are very tied together. The thing is, one person might look at a beautiful Gothic building and be inspired by it, and another person might just pass without even giving it a second glance. Which tell us that the appreciation and the ability to be inspired is in the individual. You can have right in front of you the best piece of art, the best music, the piece of music the world has ever seen, and it might just pass by you without any form of impact.
Yeah, but that's shame on you.
That's shame on you, but that's exactly the point. If that's the case, it means that you need to be a little bit more in it.
Yeah, you gotta open your heart to the light.
Yeah, because of course the whole thing about being able to appreciate music in all of its levels is something that is maybe a lifetime of appreciation.
But look, I think it's easy, man. I think the modern way we live has kind of made us blind to the beauty of the world. Because this piece of crap, these things, whenever you open them, they are either gonna force you to doom scroll, just looking at how awful everything is, or it's gonna make you feel that you are failure by not being the people that you see here.
Yeah.
That you don't know anything about that, and probably they're not even real at this stage.
Chances are.
Chances are now, and probably has always been. I don't know.
Wow.
But these, the abuse that we got for these devices, and how our lives have become like satellites around this thing, rather than these being part of the many satellites around us.
Yeah.
Have stopped us from being capable of stopping and smelling the flowers growing by the side of the grape. Because you without you being able to do that, to develop that sensibility, to realize that first and foremost, life will stop at one point. You are not eternal, but your ideas are. What you do with your life could become eternal. But if you only think in terms of mortality, in the sense of it being just a tiny section of time across the expanse of eternity, you will never do something about it. You will stop at that point. But instead, if you look at it for the miracle that it is, that even though this is insanely difficult for it to happen, the fact that you're alive and that you have the means to do something with your life, instead of looking at it as a waste of matter and looking at it as, man, I'm blessed, I'm capable of doing this, I was born in this place, I have health, I am in good shape, societally speaking.
Yeah.
I ought the world do something with it.
Yeah.
Of goodness.
Yeah.
That was awful, but of greatness.
Yeah.
So use it as a way to keep yourself motivated, because if you always think in terms of dying, and look, I have always carried a skull with me. I don't know if it's visible to camera, chances are or it's not. But this is the one that I got right now. It's a ring. It has skulls on it. Why? It's a memento mori. A memento mori comes from probably the Middle Ages, if I recall correctly, and it's those badass depictions of cadavers and super metal looking gargoyles with skulls and stuff from Gothic cathedrals and paintings.
Yeah.
And even though they look evil, they're actually happy, and they actually promote something. How can I put it? Yeah, it's a happy feeling.
It's invigorating.
It's invigorating. It's about remember that you will die, so enjoy it, but not in a hedonistic fashion. Enjoy it by being responsible, by appreciating and being capable of stopping by and smelling the stench coming out of the flowers. It might suck.
Yeah.
But how can you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes you will find greatness by just giving yourself the chance to appreciate the beauty of life. Look at that. Beautiful. And I'm the negative rascal usually.
I'm actually surprised it ended on an upwards note.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow. But look, I think just as a closing comment, in order for you to be able to appreciate the beauty of everything, you gotta be able first to understand that this can go horribly wrong. And you gotta being conscious on how bad things can actually go, and having an open mind that it can always go worse. Because by doing so, you start to realize that the moments of beauty are not that common. So whenever one happens, you appreciate it because you start to realize that this is a miracle. In a way, you're actually witnessing divine action in front of you.
Yeah, and in the end, it relates to that whole adopting an active approach to life, basically. Because the same way as you can be just couch potatoing, or watching whatever TV show, you can listen to music, actually listen to music. And basically the whole thing about smelling the flowers can be replicated within music. Because there is having music playing and there is listening to music, and it can be the same music, but inspiration can only happen if you're listening to it.
Yes,
and I think it's adopting that active approach to everything, basically.
How would you do it if you have never done it? How do you develop the skill to that will allow you to become an active music listener? Tricky question, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that you can take the conversation because look.
No, but look,
what I would recommend, for as weird as it's gonna sound, is actually learning how to meditate.
Would you?
Yeah.
My system is way simpler, but
because
it's almost stupid.
Is the answer that came to mind.
Elaborate. Now you got me intrigued.
Meditation, real one, not many of the versions that are actually sold to you.
Sold.
Is being able to be free of thought, actually. And that's hard.
No, it's very tough, man.
Yeah.
Only Buddha could do it.
Yeah, it's very, very hard. But that is an exercise that puts you in the front seat of your existence. To put it in a very, very grandiose way.
Yes.
But if you get that and you apply to, then everything you're gonna do, because meditation is not an active process.
No, there are many ways to do it.
Yeah, but if you get it, that mindset of being in the front seat, not being passive once again, while you're listening to music or you're doing anything you're doing, really, because this shouldn't be exclusive to music.
No, that avoids everything.
That's how you find appreciation, and that's how you see value in things that hold value. Because if you're not in the front seat, whatever is thrown at you is good enough, and they use that to fill you with crap.
Yeah, actually, good point.
Yeah.
And my suggestion is very similar to yours, but mine is just do it like a child would.
Okay.
Because they are in such control over their minds, because even though they're children, they are not, you can call that they are immature, they have, I get it, but they clearly know what they like. True. When they don't like something, they make it clear to everybody. But when they enjoy something, they live it fully, man.
True.
So that's why I said that it was kind of stupid, because if you think about it, like, so simple, man. You already know how to do it.
It's stupid.
No, you forgot, or they
took it away from you.
They pushed it out of you.
Yeah.
But it's there. You used to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I think a way to always remember is just think of a child, how they love a particular toy they got, how they dance to a particular track, how they enjoy particular movies. There is something that we know they see, and we know we can.
Yeah.
But we forgot how.
And it does have quite a lot of correlation.
It is.
Yeah, because it's about being in it. A child is in it.
Fully.
Whatever a child is doing, it's fully in it. And that's remarkable.
Now they call that autism. Get me?
That's
passion, god damn it, yeah.
And actually, what about we talking some other day?
It could be, but we need to find the proper wording, because I think we can get in huge trouble here on YouTube.
Yeah, for real?
Yeah, man. There are some, again, since nobody knows, and this being kind of a touchy subject, could take us to certain places. that could lead us to not necessarily the most of safe routes.
But you know where we can talk about this kind of things?
Rumble.
In our Discord.
Oh yeah, Discord. Yeah, actually. So, and I'm the one who's plugging like it's going out of fashion. So plug it in and it's fun.
So yeah, we have this conversation, girls and boys. Great to have you here first and foremost. We have these conversations on a weekly basis, but it doesn't have to end here. We have a Discord. We're gonna be linking it to the description of this video, and it's actually active.
Yeah, finally.
There's actually interaction going on, and is the place to keep these conversations going, even going places that we don't necessarily go here on YouTube for various reasons.
Yes, just keep it civil. That's the only thing we need.
Exactly. So I invite you to join us there. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe, ring the freaking bell. And it's gotta be the freaking bell always.
Yeah, because it means nothing.
But yeah, like that you can be notified whenever we do this, and you can be a part of it as well.
Yeah, and these live streams take place every Wednesday at this.
Every Tuesday.
Tuesday, you're correct. Yeah. Every Tuesday at this time. For now, we're still finding the best timing forever. So anybody watching has a suggestion, please leave it in the comment section down below, because we do try to keep track of all of the comments.
Yeah.
The issue is that now we're running 3 channels, so it's starting to pile up. But feel safe that we will give it a look at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and as you said, join the Discord and this channel. But also you can support these efforts by listening to our music on Apple Music or Spotify, and also by joining Instagram, because besides Discord is also a great way to get in touch with us on a much more personal basis. Now, as every single time we meet you, we gotta remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And backstory, I will, as soon as this is over, I'm gonna post the track that I mentioned and I hyped up at the beginning, so you can, guys, you can give it a listen to by yourself, and try to see if everything we said here made sense.
Yeah.
Because I think you'll see, you're gonna be surprised by the track. So with that being said, we'll see you. See ya.